Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this afternoon's session for Homeport Procurement Workshop. I'm pleased to see so many people that have already joined us, and I'm sure there are more that will be joining us very shortly. And I think the number of participants recognises the importance of this venture that we're about to discuss. I would just like to firstly introduce the other panel members for this afternoon's session. We're joined by the Honourable Kwesi Thompson, Minister of State for Finance, the Honourable Michael Pintard, Minister of Agriculture and Marine Resources, Mr. Ian Rowell, President of the Grand Bahama Port Authority, Ms. Garnell Pelikanis, a Strategic Development Consultant in the Ministry of Agriculture and Marine Services, Mr. Russell Benford, Vice President, Government Relations for the Americas, the Royal Caribbean Group, and he is joined by Ms. Elisa Chen, who's the Associate Vice President for Gaming and Onboard Revenue for the Royal Caribbean Group, and also Ms. Vina Jump, who's the Director of Global Hotel Procurement for the Royal Caribbean Group. And we're also joined by Ms. Yvette O'Connor, the Executive Director of the Small Business Development Centre, and Mr. Derek Newbold, Senior Manager of Business Development of the Grand Bahama Authority. Thank you. Just before I move on, I would also like to express best wishes for this meeting from the President of the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Greg LaRoda. He wishes us well. Well, this is a very exciting time for Grand Bahama and the Bahamas as a whole. And I hope we'll find out in the next hour and a half, the opportunities that may be available for business people in Grand Bahama, not just those who have traditionally been involved in the tourism sector, but also people who will have opportunities that they may have not had before. So I wish that all goes well. At this point, I'd like to invite Mr. Ian Rowell to just bring some opening remarks.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's indeed a pleasure to be here to participate in this very special event today. I'm excited for the Bahamas. I'm even more excited for Royal Caribbean to be actually sailing out of the place where God lives, the Bahamas. I'm particularly excited for the persons in Grand Bahama, though, because this offers some unique opportunities that we've never seen before. And these opportunities, I think, would require partnerships, new relationships, in order to fulfill orders to support, the 3,500 to 4,000 guests on board this ship that need to be serviced on a daily basis. No one entity, in my opinion, or there aren't many in Grand Bahama, who could probably facilitate such great demand. So this is a fantastic opportunity for us here in Grand Bahama. And at the end of the day, the end game in my mind is for persons who do a fantastic job pleasing Royal Caribbean in regards to this initiative to be able to service the hotel that they are purchasing here in Grand Bahama. So it goes beyond just the cruise industry. We want persons to get involved in the hotel industry and also potential the development of the new port here in Freeport. So this is a fantastic opportunity for so many. And I'm also very appreciative of Royal Caribbean. They've chosen a superstar to lead this charge in the likes of Mr. Russell Benford. For those who didn't know, Russell, in his past life, he actually empowered communities in his past life. And he's brought that same spirit here to Freeport and to the Bahamas. And and he's spoken about how can he do more to empower the local Bahamians, not only Grand Bahamians, but Bahamians in general. So our role is to present a fantastic A1 product to Royal Caribbean so we can convince them to stay longer than the 6-month period. Right, Minister? Good. So our role is to do a fantastic job. I know we have it in us as Bahamians, not only Grand Bahamians, but Bahamians. And I'm looking forward to working with the Royal Caribbean Cruise Line and also the licensees who would qualify to work with this great institution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Roll. Thank you. I'd now like to invite Minister Thompson to say some welcoming remarks. Mr. Thompson.
Pleasant good afternoon to everyone. Today really is a good day, and I'm so pleased to welcome everyone to this webinar. And in particular, we are very pleased that Royal Caribbean has taken the opportunity to do this. It is hugely important for the people of Grand Bahama. It is a huge opportunity for the people of Grand Bahama. Royal Caribbean really is no strangers to us. They have been our partners for a number of years. And in Grand Bahama, we've been working with them over the last few years to make the hotel and cruise port deal a reality. And they are our continued partners. We are well on our way to completing that. And we hope that in short order, we will be able to say some additional things and confirm some additional things with respect to the hotel and the cruise port, which really is a part of a whole product that Royal Caribbean is bringing to Grand Bahama. You know, crisis actually brings opportunity. And the strange thing is, it's likely that if COVID did not happen, this opportunity may not have happened. And so when we have a crisis, we have to embrace the opportunity that the crisis brings. And this really is an opportunity that we in Grand Bahama must embrace. We must be ready for, and we must embrace. So this webinar is very important. We want you to listen closely, see the opportunities that are available for you. We also, the government is going to be working with you. We have Minister Michael Pintard and the Ministry of Agriculture who will be working with farmers. They're going to be working with fishermen to provide all of the necessary opportunities for them. We also have the Small Business Development Center. And I am very pleased that Royal Caribbean, and they have made the announcement this morning in their webinar to New Providence, and you'll be hearing a little bit more about that today, that they are going to provide $250,000 to the Small Business Development Center to assist those businesses in and preparing themselves for this opportunity. So not only are they bringing the opportunities, but they are also helping us in building the capacity and helping us to ensure that we are ready for this opportunity. So we want to thank them for all of the things that they have been providing for us. And lastly, what I want to say is we must show them who Grand Bahama is and what Grand Bahamians are all about. This is an opportunity that we cannot waste. They are here for, and their plans are that they are here for a short period of time. But we want to make this opportunity and this experience so grand for them that they will want to remain here full time, and that they will have a home porting experience here in Grand Bahama full time, a provisioning experience here full time. So we must be on our A game when it comes to dealing with Royal Caribbean. I believe Grand Bahama is ready for it. I believe that they can deliver. And so I know that we have been able to do it in the past, and I expect that we are going to be able to do it now. So I just want to thank you all, in particular, Russell, who has been a wonderful partner for us. You know, he's a Bahamian now. And I want to be able to say that he's a Grand Bahamian now. And so we want to thank him in particular for his leadership, and thank him and his entire team. And we just look forward to hearing from them today.
Thank you very much, Minister, for your remarks. I'd now like to invite Minister Pintard and Ms. Pelagonis to give some remarks on the agro-tourism perspective of home porting. Minister.
Thank you very much, Nick. A pleasant good afternoon to everyone. It is an honor to be a part of this initial project with RCL as it relates to setting up a template on procurement with cruise ships. The Ministry of Agriculture and Marine Resources have already been working with hoteliers, food stores, wholesalers, as well as restaurants in terms of ensuring that Bahamian farmers, fishers, and persons who are involved in light manufacturing are able to access the market. One of the historical challenges farmers, fishers, persons in light manufacturing have experienced is the absence of opportunities to enter the market. But the government, through a policy decision, has mandated that 40% of all foods sourced in the Bahamas must be sourced from Bahamian producers. And in order to have the moral authority to enforce that, the government placed a high standard on itself, that 75 cents of every dollar spent by government must be spent with a local food producer. And so we're happy that from a policy standpoint, we've made that commitment. However, the partners that we have been meeting with, including Royal Caribbean, did not need a policy decision in particular. They were quite happy to empower the local community and work hand in hand with Bahamian producers in order to source items from us. We have developed several exciting templates, which that's working at the moment with Atlantis. We have other hotel properties that will be using the same template, and of course, some of our other stakeholders like wholesalers and food stores. And Ganel Pelicanos and the team have been working diligently to connect the producer with the buyer, and she will elaborate on that. So I just want to say to all of the Bahamians who are on the call, the goals we have set in terms of how much we provide to Royal Caribbean, the various hotels, food stores, restaurants, it's an aspirational goal. We don't expect that in the month of May, June, and July, we're going to hit all of those targets. But what we do expect is now that producers know that the market is guaranteed, that they will ramp up productions and to make sure that we have a consistent price, world-class quality, which Bahamians have been noted for, and consistency of supply year-round and over the course of the next several years, and that we would work in a cooperative manner so that our buyers are not dealing with 500-600 producers, but instead working through a cooperative entity in order to sell those items. So we are happy for this opportunity. We expect this to be an exciting day for both producers as well as the various municipal government agencies, Ministry of Tourism, of course, the Office of the Prime Minister, Ministry of Agriculture, and the Chamber. So have a wonderful day. We stand ready in the ministry to help by making land available, assisting in terms of financing by working with different stakeholders and providing technical assistance. Ganel?
Thank you, Minister. After all that is said, I don't know what there is left for me to say, except that we are very excited for this opportunity to partner with all the various stakeholders. The OPMGB and the ministry enjoy a wonderful working opportunity relationship. We want to say thank you to the Ministry of Tourism as well, who's cooperated with us in all of the various initiatives that we have. And as the minister would have noted, we are in the process of similar programs with Atlantis and many of the other larger resorts. Through the collaborative efforts of OPMGB, the Ministry of Agriculture, and the Ministry of Tourism, and other stakeholders participating here today, the government of the Bahamas has created an opportunity for GB entrepreneurs with RCL. So as would have been said, RCL will be provisioning in Grand Bahama, and this presents a major opportunity for fishers and farmers of Grand Bahama. This program seeks to facilitate contracts with fishers that can provide seafood and farmers that can grow the crops, and this is very important, to the standards and the specifications stipulated by RCL. So we have designed a template for the full integration of the fishers and farmers. This program is intended to build capacity in agribusiness through the engagement of farmers and fishers and linking them through associations, and that's very important, producer associations or cooperatives with large tourism providers like RCL, with a view to improving foreign exchange through import substitution, employment generation, and most importantly to everyone concerned, and income dispersion. So the benefits of this program, as we see it from the ministry standpoint, is to keep farmers on the farm and prevent movement to urban centers. Those of us from Grand Bahama, we know what that's about, having to move for economic opportunity. The increased income, new employment opportunities, creation of spin-off businesses, which is very important, trucking, logistics, IT, etc. And the ministry stands ready to provide special skills training opportunities for farmers and fishers alike, to create linkages and to raise awareness and appreciation for local fresh production. Now, requirements for farmers would be, as the minister would have mentioned, farmers must organize themselves into one producer group. So the ministry stands ready to assist in this process. There are currently 3 registered cooperatives in Grand Bahama, and these will be evaluated in the first instance for suitability. Alternatively, the ministry will assist to facilitate the formation of a producer association. So interested farmers can contact our Grand Bahama office. We do have a registration form for those that are interested. A registration form where you can outline, knowing the list of produce that have been requested by RCL, how much it is that you are able to produce. Farmers will need to follow specific standards for growing, harvesting, post-harvesting, and packaging, as detailed by RCL. So the standards that are in place will always include the highest level of good agricultural practices, but there are specific standards that RCL requires, and RCL is also going to inspect the facilities and the first delivery that's planned in June. And very importantly, the producer organization must be registered via Dun & Bradstreet to become an approved vendor. On the fishing side, the requirement for fishers, basically the same corporation of fishers and seafood processors to become or utilize one sole supplier to make deliveries. As Minister would have mentioned, RCL is not interested in dealing with 300 or 400 persons, but one person for farming, one entity for farming, one entity for fishing. Agreement on items from the list of seafood products requested. And again, that list is available to all interested parties. And all levels of the seafood industry must be HACCP certified. Those persons that are already involved in the processing, they are quite familiar with the HACCP certification, because all licensed processing facilities in the Bahamas have to be compliant with the same. So there are compliance standards for facilities, compliance standards even for vessels. Those are available at our offices. You can feel free to contact our Grand Bahama office. The same thing for fishers, so you must be registered. The fishing association or the company that's being used must be registered via Dun & Bradstreet to become an approved vendor. I am advised that process takes upward to 1 month. So we need to get busy now in order to be compliant for the first voyage. And lastly, inspection of the facility and the first delivery by RCL. So if you require, if you would like a copy of this presentation, a list of the standards for seafood processing facilities, and RCL will provide more information for the standards for agricultural produce. Or if you would like to register to become a part of the producer organizations, please contact, in the case of agriculture, Ms. Quinta Forbes or Michael Flowers. Quinta Forbes at bahamas.gov.bs, and the phone number is 3522113. Ms. Latina Pelicanos in the case of fishers and seafood processors at 3525091. Minister would have also mentioned, and as I close, that for farmer registration and application for a land lease, those are available on our website. Go to the business tab of the government's website, www.bahamas.gov.bs/agricultural marine. Those forms are there. You can fill out the forms. The instructions are there, how to access that land application, how to access the farmer registration process, and you can go ahead and submit those to our Freeport office. I just want to say thank you. We have the list of standards available to you. We have the list of produce available to you, and those can be provided once you contact using the information previously presented. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Darnell. Very interesting. Would it be possible just to post the contact details on this call's chat line so that people can make a note of that if they want to call you? That would be very helpful if you could. Thank you very much. That would be very useful. I'm pleased to see that we now have over 200 people on this workshop. So it's just the right time to hand over, and it gives me great pleasure to do so, to hand over to Mr. Russell Benford and his team to tell us more about how all of this is going to work. Russell, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Mick, and thank you, Ministers Thompson and Minister Pintard and Ms. Pelicanos, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Russell Benford, Vice President of Government Relations at Royal Caribbean Group. I'm responsible for Royal Caribbean Group's government relations throughout North, Central, and South America, as well as the Caribbean, including, of course, the wonderful Bahamas. I'm thrilled to be here with you virtually, although I would much rather prefer to be in the beautiful Bahamas in person, as I'm sure my teammates would as well. We have something very special to share with you today. It's a story about opportunity and growth. As we homeport from the Bahamas from the very first time, part of our focus is to explore opportunities that present themselves for business partnerships. As background on our homeporting effort, our 3,800 passenger ship, Adventure of the Seas, was granted approval to homeport from Nassau beginning June 12, 2021. The ship will include Grand Bahama in its itinerary. The ship will also provision in Grand Bahama. Adventure will sail with a limited number of guests. All guests over 18 years old must be vaccinated. Guests under 18 will be tested. Anyone 18 or over must show proof of vaccination and COVID negative tests prior to boarding the ship in Nassau. We believe that the combination of vaccination plus proof of negative test results will create the safest possible environment. These protocols, along with all the other preventative protocols and sanitation processes in place on the ship, are the highest standards of any sector. We look forward to a new era in the world of sailing with our guests who are eager to return to the Bahamas safely. We are especially pleased that homeporting will bring international cruise visitors back to the Bahamas after a year of restricted travel and create new opportunities for linkages with hotels, restaurants, tour operators, taxi, and other transportation providers. Most importantly, it will provide them with shore excursion opportunities that allow them to experience the wonders of Grand Bahama, ranging from its diverse shopping to cultural and historical tours to nature and wildlife adventures, to name just a few. Our return to the Bahamas and homeporting out of Nassau provides an opportunity for us to partner together and think creatively about how we can come up with new experiences for our guests to take advantage of the best Grand Bahama has to offer, and to develop valuable business relationships that will stimulate the economy and last well into the future. Today, I have the pleasure of welcoming two of my Royal Caribbean colleagues who will talk to you this afternoon about some of those opportunities. My teammates, Alyssa Shin, Associate Vice President of Gaming and Onboard Revenue, will cover shore excursions, and Vina Jump, Associate Vice President of Global Hotel, Food and Beverage Procurement, will discuss procurement opportunities. Alyssa, over to you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So my name is Alyssa Shen. As Russell mentioned, I'm the Associate Vice President of Onboard Revenue and Gaming. And the specific area that I'll cover today and spend a lot of time on is really shore excursions. And that's the big opportunity we believe that can engage a lot of local businesses. And so this is an exciting opportunity. And before I get into the details, I wanted to preface a few things. And I think that we all know things are ever changing and ever evolving. As we learn as a world about how the virus works, what are the best ways to keep us safe, both the local communities that we're going to go to, and also our crew members and our guests. And so everything that we are about to present is subject to change. Very likely it will change as we go through and learn more and vaccines become more common throughout the world. And so when you see something, make sure you know that it's not going to be like that forever. We are all hopeful that it'll go back to normal as quickly as possible. But something that hasn't changed with our approach to return to service as a company is we've always asked ourselves, what's the best way to keep everybody safe? And so that's really been the constant. And that's what we've shaped a lot of our protocols or our suggested protocols at this time and considerations as we go into it. And really, if you have any questions about it, which I know there will be, I'm happy to answer it. And I know that we have time at the end for some questions and answers. Another thing that I wanted to preface as well is that we had a great conversation again with the Nassau team and a lot of home porting opportunities there. But this is going to be different because in Grand Bahama, everybody will have the chance to have a full day import, which we really haven't done as Royal Caribbean in a while. And so I wanted to be able to present these opportunities. So another exciting thing too is Adventure of the Seas, which is this ship that we'll be calling, is a big ship. So she's a big girl. I think someone already mentioned 3,000 to 4,000 passengers. As again, a precautionary measure, we're not going to jam her full just yet, but we're going to go in with 50 to 60% occupancy, which is still a couple thousand people every single turn. And so even with the short time period, we hope to generate at least 30,000 people through the Bahamas, both in Nassau and in Grand Bahama, and which represents a lot of opportunity. So going into it, I wanted to first start with, what do we offer today? What have we set up? And so we have worked with local operators before, but again, as I mentioned, it's not a port that we've frequented in the past. And so we are developing things for the first time, brand new. And I think already someone else mentioned it, we're going to have to be creative versus the ways that we've addressed this in the past. Because even if I'm going to use 2,000 passengers as an example, historically, 85% of the folks on the ship will get off in Grand Bahama. And so how do we find enough capacity and room for all these people? So right now, I can be completely transparent. We're not at that number yet. And so this is ripe for lots of hopefully new opportunities to create experiences that will really engage local community and our guests. And so we all have, as you see here, only 4. So there's definitely room to grow, and we're definitely not limiting anything at this time. And so 15 tours, we don't have enough capacity yet. And so what I'm going to go through in a second is, what are our considerations for new tours? What do we think our guests are going to want? What are our requirements currently? And also, what are our, I don't want to call them COVID protocols, because it's not really that. It's more what we're calling healthy return to service considerations. And so all those things together will form how we approach, hopefully, and partner together about opportunities. And last but not least, I'll mention something that I know the team has been working hard on in collaboration with the Chamber, is how do we create these really exclusive experiences for our guests to bring a lot of vendors together all in one place. And so I'll probably end with that. All right. So first and foremost, I've already referenced what we're calling our healthy return to service protocols. And protocols is a strong word right now. I've used considerations in the slide. And this was really started about a year and a half ago when Royal Caribbean, as a company, we engaged top local experts. Well, not local, I would say, international experts is a better way to put it, because we epidemiologists, top medical panels, to say, okay, how would we approach going back to service in a very healthy way? And so they published actually about a year ago, I want to say it's 64 recommendations about how to return to service in a healthy manner. And so these can be found actually on the Royal Caribbean website, and they form the backbone of how we've been approaching this. And to be honest, it hasn't varied wildly, even with the introduction of vaccines. I'm sure everyone has read, there's variants out there. We actually are still welcoming, we're a family brand, and so we never want to be exclusive of children. And so as we all know, children right now are not eligible to be vaccinated. So I think we're still always erring on the side of caution. And I know everyone's eye is probably looking right now at the participation shore excursion through cruise line little icon right now. And so that was kind of where I wanted to get ahead of a little bit, is because I know this causes some concern with saying, are we limiting local businesses? Are we limiting just opportunity? And really, we definitely have no intention of trying to do that. We are just trying to be considerate of local community. We are also responsible when we bring our guests and crew into a local environment to ensure that we're doing it in a safe manner. So that's one half of it. The other half of it is just making sure that we understand if we're responsible for bringing guests from point A to point B to point C, we have a responsibility to understand where they are, where they're going, and ensure their safety. And so it's a two-part process. And as of right now, the recommendation is that that would be the most prudent way to enter into any destination. So this is not a Grand Bahama thing, it's a local destination thing. And so we are checking in almost daily with our experts to say, okay, there is a path to when this is not to be a requirement. And we still have a lot of time between now and June when we sail to Grand Bahama. And so we're going to always be keeping an eye on that to see if that can change and partner together to see when is it appropriate. But in the meantime, we want to be absolutely prepared to engage as many local businesses as possible, even under this requirement. And so without spending too much time on the other kind of considerations here, because I think we're all kind of COVID experts now. I think we know about distancing, we know about PPE. So I'm not going to waste too much time on that, but that's the one I really wanted to get ahead of because I know that sparked a lot of questions. So with and type of tours now. And so we want to say, how are we going to be healthy? How are we going to be safe? But also, how do we give guests what they want? And so we've been running some marketing surveys with our clientele. And the first folks back, and I can share with you that it's heavily the bookings thus far. We've actually been on sale for a little bit more than 30 days for Adventure of the Seas on this itinerary that Homeport's out of Nassau. It's booking well. I know I'm personally quite pleased with where we are. And where we want to go, though, is to continue to get, of course, full bookings and to really push that capacity max that I was talking about before, to strain it, to show that people are willing to travel. The folks that are booking right now are definitely our tried and true kind of what we call Crown and Anchor members. They're our loyalty members that cannot wait. And they've been chomping at the bit to get back out. And honestly, Nassau is just a hop, skip, and a jump for them. And we've seen that they have no hesitation with booking these. So a lot of these Crown and Anchor members that have cruised many, many times before. So we're trying to say, what's going to be interesting to them? They've probably been to Nassau many times, but honestly, they haven't been to Grand Bahama many times just because we haven't offered it. And so what can we show them? And so we're trying to combine the marketing survey results, which indicated that they would be interested in what we call off the beaten path tours. And I think this is just habits that we've all developed in the last year to year and a half of being in smaller groups, not wanting to be in congested areas, or this desire to make sure that you can control your environment a little bit more carefully. And so that is, I think, an opportunity as we look to new products and new offerings and how to create more capacity in Grand Bahama, and also in partnership with the right kind of transportation, the right kind of infrastructure in order to deliver those types of services. So these are just some examples. None of us know because we haven't had people back yet. And so on paper, they could tell us X, and when they show up, they could want Y. But the good news is all the survey results show that one of the most exciting things that guests are excited about coming back to is a destination, because they can get a fancy hotel, they can go to a buffet, all these other great things that our ship offers, but what they can't offer, or a hotel can't offer, is this kind of travel, local engagement, culinary engagement that they can only get by going there. So these are some examples of the type of demand that we think we could be getting, that we need to be able to fulfill. And then this is another piece of the puzzle, which is our requirements. And so this has not changed pre-COVID or post-COVID. This is still what our requirements are. And in a higher risk kind of time period that we're living in, we did review this and say, is this the time to lower our insurance requirements? And the answer right now is no. However, we do, and we are hopeful that we can, again, be creative, work together to figure out how we can engage local businesses, even if they independently and individually can't meet these requirements. Are there ways that we can band together, groups can work together in order for this to work out? So I'm not going to go through each and individual one of them. I know it's probably going to come up again in the Q&A, and I'm happy to address, but I wanted to make sure this was out there. I believe all the slides that we're sharing will be available to the participants, and so don't worry that you have to write down and jot down every requirement right this second. And so another thing that I wanted to talk about, so one could be thinking, well, if we can only have guests go to point A in order to participate in something with one operator, how is that going to give us a lot of opportunity? And so something that we haven't really done before ever, and we're trying to work hard to figure this out, is how do we then band together lots of operations, vendors, culinary, cultural experience in one place that would make sense, where we can then deliver our guests in a seamless fashion, still within a controlled environment, and have them have a great experience and have a kind of one-stop shop for many things and many experiences, but still not put anybody at risk, neither the local community or crew or guests, and that would satisfy this. So this is not 100% done deal, but I know that we've had many conversations. And how do we integrate different transportation options into this? I know Russell had mentioned taxis. I know that that's a very important part of the local tourism industry, and it's some folks that my team has met with already. There are medical and certain restrictions that we're working towards understanding and coming to an agreement as to what is the best way. Again, best of both worlds, protect everybody, and also though include them in what the experiences could be. So we know the absolute vital importance of that, and we're working towards it. I wish I had all the answers right now and could share that, yeah, absolutely, done deal. We figured everything out. But again, this is the first time we're doing a lot of things. And so it will take a little time and partnership and hard work. Last but not least, I wanted to share with you, if you have digested all this information and think, hey, I definitely have a great idea. And I'm going to flip back to this slide one more time. The top line that you'll see there is that really we want to make sure to match up what we think will be demand from the guest and what your idea is. And so we are open to all ideas. We're definitely never going to be dismissive of a new idea, but I wanted to be transparent as to kind of what filters and lenses we'll be using to work with you to understand, hey, absolutely, that's not something that we thought of, but guess what? It's a great idea, and we want to work with you to make it happen. So if you think that you have that idea, we want to hear from you. And this is the contact information that you will be reaching out to. So Megan Shaw on my team, she's the manager with a lot of experience working with a lot of Caribbean destinations, including the Bahamas. And so she is your point person, and her team, Connie Lee, on the Royal Caribbean brand side. I represent Royal Caribbean brand, but I did not want to limit contact to only our brand. If sometime in the future, Celebrity Cruises, our sister company, also decides that they want to, enjoy Grand Bahama, I wanted to also provide their information for you as well. And so again, this deck will be shared. I'm sure you'll have the contact information, but if not, we'll address anything in the Q&A. So at this time, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Vina, to talk about procurement.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today to talk to you about hotel food and beverage procurement and the opportunities that exist for the Grand Bahama. So as Russell mentioned, my name is Vina Jump. I've been with Royal Caribbean 25 years. My role is AVP of Global Hotel Food and Beverage. Next slide, please. Thank you. So I'm very familiar with the Caribbean. I've traveled the Caribbean a lot. I've worked in the Caribbean a lot. And I've looked at local sourcing in the Caribbean, I think, for the last 15 years, various countries within the Caribbean. And I think that there's so much opportunities that exist today that we're taking the opportunity, but I still think that we're leaving opportunities behind. I think it is important that Royal Caribbean Group work closely with your team to really educate on some of our requirements, what are our needs, and what is it that we need for us to succeed in supporting the local farmers and supporting the local fisheries, and help you to understand the requirements for delivering to our ships as they pull into port, as it relates to quality, temperature control, inspection, and what the whole process really is for us. It's complex. Can we accomplish it? Absolutely. So there's some major categories I'd like to touch on today that I know is available in the Caribbean. For sure, seafood. We know you have a lot of small fishermen and larger fishermen that go out to fish every day. So we do purchase a lot of tropical fish. So I think definitely there is the opportunity for fresh and frozen seafood. In terms of fresh produce, there's lots of opportunity around that. I'm not familiar with everything that's grown on the island itself, but my recommendation would be to focus on items that you're very strong in, whether it is bananas, whether it is pineapples. Focus with your local farmers so that they can become very proficient, in these categories. In fresh grocery, we do offer baked goods, grains, sausage, sugar, flour, rice. So across everything you can eat and drink, just think about it. We use it in some form on board the cruise ships in various restaurants that we have on board, whether it's the main dining room or whether it's the specialty restaurant. So we did share with you our standard item list, which really clearly states the specification and the expectations that we have for our product. In terms of fresh produce, we need to pay attention to the different stages of ripeness. When the ship goes out on a 7-night itinerary, we need to be able to secure items such as bananas in different stages, items such as avocados in different stages, tomatoes in different stage of ripeness, so that these products are able to last for the entire voyage, and we do not have to take on provisions anyplace else. So fresh produce typically have a very short life. However, we do require that the shelf life lasts at least 7 days. And in my experience within the category, for sure, if we're buying fresh herbs and you're picking them from the farm, and we're maintaining the correct temperature control, and we're also keeping it in that control and transporting it to our vessels within the chill temperature, I think that the products will last on board our ships. So they're great opportunities. We have given you the list. I think you can share it with your suppliers, your growers. We can scrub through the list and really look at the opportunities, key items that will definitely work for us. Mario on my team, my senior procurement manager lady, will talk about palletization and shipping via truck and how all these requirements take place for us to successfully load our ship. Freeport to us has always, been some kind of a provision port, but not with local sourcing, right? We do some of our dry docks there today. We're familiar with your restrictions, your FITO certificates, and all the requirements of shipping into Freeport. So it would be good to dive a little bit deeper and see local products that you really have available. I know you do manufacture some great beer. which the brewery did ship to us, and we did some tasting on the beer, right? So I think those are also a great opportunity for us. And, you know, it tells a story when our guests show up and they can actually be offered a beer in Freeport that's brewed in Freeport. What's much nicer than that? So I think there's a lot of opportunities around items such as that. So I'm going to pass it on to Mario for the next slide, who will talk to you more about our Humane Society and our sustainable goals that we have at Royal Caribbean Group. Mario.
Thank you so much, Mina. And thank you to everyone who is participating with us today. It's a great pleasure to be speaking with you, and I look forward to the opportunity to getting to know each of you a little bit better. So as Mina mentioned, one of the aspects of our procurement are the sustainable procurement initiatives that we have taken on with some of our partners, one of them being the World Wildlife Fund and another being the Humane Society of the United States. Sustainability in our company is one of our key tenets, and in procurement is no different. So we are looking forward to understanding what sustainable products or sustainable procurement practices are available to us in the Bahamas, and specifically in Grand Bahama. One of our key sustainable procurement goals is around seafood. We've partnered with the World Wildlife Fund to commit to sourcing 90% of our global wild-caught seafood from MSC certified fisheries or fisheries that are undergoing a comprehensive fishery improvement project. And we've also committed to sourcing 75% of our North America and European farmed seafood from ASC certified farms or farms undergoing comprehensive aquaculture improvement projects. We believe there's a great opportunity for the fisheries in the Bahamas to supply us fresh or frozen seafood, particularly the Bahamian lobster fishery, which is currently undergoing a comprehensive fishery improvement program, looking forward to becoming MSC certified. There's a huge opportunity to supply us lobster for the voyages that are sailing out of the Bahamas. And if the partnership is able to develop, to be able to supply us that same lobster, into North America for us to distribute to our global fleet of vessels. We also have goals with the Humane Society to procure 100% of our eggs from producers who are certified cage-free, and also to procure pork products from producers who have banned the use of gestation crates throughout the production process. We may not be procuring every one of these commodities from producers in the Bahamas, but I think that the message is that sustainability, both in how the product is produced and sourced, and from who we buy it, right? Sustainability in the sense that the communities that we work in and the communities that we operate through have the right resources and the right opportunities is all very important to Royal Caribbean. So as you consider the products and services that you're able to offer us, and as we work through this process of increasing our local sourcing footprint, please do be sure to tell us your sustainability goals or the initiatives that you've taken on your end to produce these products more sustainably. We can move on to the next slide, Elisa. So at a high level, we wanted to share with you some of the key steps in becoming an approved supplier. And I would like to thank the Honorable Mr. Pintard and Ms. Pelicanos. They went over some of this in their portion of the presentation. But all suppliers do need to go through an approval process before doing business with Royal Caribbean. And this approval process does involve a third-party organization called Dun & Bradstreet, who we will guide you through engaging with. But first, there must be a product or service that Royal Caribbean is interested in purchasing before we can engage in that supplier onboarding process. Once the product has been approved to be sourced or the service is approved, we would invite you to register with Dun & Bradstreet. Through Dun & Bradstreet, they will collect some key information about your business, along with certain supporting documents, including tax documents, proof of insurance, etc. And then once the process is complete, you will be onboarded into the Royal Caribbean systems, be given a vendor number, and will be able to start doing business with us. Some of the key requirements from the hotel, food, and beverage procurement end is that suppliers must be capable of delivering 7 days a week, including weekends and holidays. Our vessels are deployed year-round. They do call on weekends and on holidays. And when we have a delivery scheduled for one of those weekends and holidays, we do expect the suppliers to be able to fulfill those orders. All deliveries must be made during the scheduled date and time as per the purchase order. As all of you know, the ships come into port and they do depart in the evening. And so we need to ensure that anything that is expected for delivery during that date is in fact delivered. And finally, as Vina mentioned earlier, the products do need to maintain the correct shipping conditions. And this is especially important for refrigerated or frozen products. That cold chain needs to be retained all the way from the producer through to our vessel. So prospective suppliers, particularly those who will be delivering refrigerated or frozen product, should have the appropriate facilities and transportation equipment to deliver that product at the correct temperature. We can go on to the next slide, please. And finally, here's a little bit more detail on some of the delivery requirements for food and beverage suppliers. And so the first is that you must be able to confirm the POs that we issue you within 48 hours. All of our purchase orders are issued electronically. So when you get set up as a supplier, we'll take the appropriate email addresses, right, or the appropriate contact methods. These orders will be sent to you, and we would expect that you confirm to us that you have received the purchase order and can deliver within 48 hours of that receipt. There are some particular invoicing requirements. These are not especially unique to the cruise line, but it's important to note that the invoices must be itemized. They must include the purchase order number, the description, the number of units, the price, etc. And if possible, these invoices should be in the same order as our purchase orders, so that when we validate those invoices and get ready to pay, everything is in the right order. For the deliveries, pallets must be IPPC compliant, which means that they are heat treated and they are eligible for export, and that the pallets themselves are shrink wrapped so that the product is secured during transportation and is secured once loading onto our vessels. And finally, anyone making deliveries direct to the ship should be prepared to come to the ship with copies of the invoices that our shipboard crew members can review, sign, and stamp. These invoice copies will act as your proof of delivery should there be any discrepancies. You will retain a copy of this signed and stamped invoice as proof of what was delivered. And any supplier who expects to deliver direct to ship must be familiar with and compliant with any regulations for the port. So if there are particular transportation requirements, if there are identification requirements for the port of delivery, the suppliers must be familiar with and compliant with those regulations in order to make it onto the pier and deliver shipside. And then one more thing I wanted to note, it was mentioned earlier, and I think it deserves some repeating. I think that you'll have the best and the greatest opportunity for selling your products to Royal Caribbean if you conduct it in a very cooperative manner, right? So that the farmers, the producers, the fishermen, any groups who are producing and intending to sell similar types of items should consider grouping together, right? And presenting sort of like a cooperative offer. Part of the reason is that we can't support dozens of delivery drivers each showing up to the vessel to deliver their particular products. It becomes much more efficient both for us as a receiver and for you as the producer and delivery person to consolidate these goods prior to delivery to the vessel, so that fewer number of trucks are attempting to deliver at a single time, and so that each of these deliveries are most impactful. So this is something that you all should take into consideration as you prepare to engage with Royal Caribbean. And Elisa, if we can move on to the last slide. This is some contact information for our hotel food and beverage procurement team. As Nina mentioned, she is the Associate Vice President of Global Hotel Food and Beverage Procurement. She is our leader on this team. My name is Mario Fuentes. I am the Senior Procurement Manager, and we'll be engaging with you on some of the setup process and the bidding process. And Michael Retta, who unfortunately was unable to join for this session, he is the food and beverage buyer focused on seafood, but he will be your primary point of contact when discussing the opportunity to sell food and beverage products to Royal Caribbean. You could definitely reach out to Michael, myself, or Vina, and we will direct you to the appropriate commodity buyer for the particular category that you are trying to sell. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Mr. Russell Benford.
Thank you very much, Mario and Vina, as always. Great job from your team, and thank you. And I just wanted to quickly thank Ian again for your kind words earlier. In recent months, we at the Royal Caribbean Group have been working closely with the Small Business Development Center to discuss how we can work together to develop new and exciting opportunities for entrepreneurs and small businesses. The organization is doing phenomenal work, guiding the development, funding, growth, and evolution of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises in the Bahamas. Earlier this month, we were excited to announce an initiative with local producers of hot pepper sauce, providing them with the opportunity to showcase their products on our ships, our private destinations, and at the ports. We will work with them to create an experience where our guests will be able to see how the pepper sauce is produced and also have the opportunity to taste the products. We are thankful for this collaboration, and we're excited to continue this partnership, taking it to the next level. With that, I would like to take the opportunity to introduce Yvette O'Connell, Director of the Small Business Development Center Access Accelerator in Grand Bahama, to speak to you about how the organization can work with members of the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce to maximize home port opportunities we've been talking about today. Yvette also has some exciting news to share, hot off the presses, about how we are extending our partnership with the Small Business Development Center. Yvette, take it away.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited to be here today. As Minister Thompson noted earlier, he spoke about an exciting announcement that was made by my executive director. She made this announcement earlier, and I was so excited, and we are all excited because, you know, at Access Accelerator, we are passionate about the success of small businesses. And this announcement alluded to the partnership between RCL and Access Accelerator, where RCL is giving us at SBDC $250,000. And we at SBDC would lend the support to businesses wishing to apply for these procurement contracts who would meet the eligibility for some of the opportunities presented here today. And so SBDC will assist with access to funding through low interest loans to assist you with executing these contracts. And for example, let's say a fisherman who would need some cash flow to assist them with a system to manage their fishing trip. You can apply to Access Accelerator for this cash flow. And so we are so excited about this new venture. And remember that the funding will be contingent upon obtaining the contract. We are excited, and when I heard this news that from my executive director, we are all sitting at the edge of our seats here in Grand Bahama, through Grand Bahama and Nassau. And so if you are interested in more information about this, we want you to stay tuned because there would be an interest meeting that we will have in the next 2 days. giving you more information about how you can access this opportunity. So you can log on to our website. We are accessaccelerator.org. And we will be, just stay tuned with us. Stay tuned for more information. And for all of the small businesses who are eligible, there's a great opportunity and you will be able to benefit. So thank you so much, and stay tuned to Access Accelerator. If you have any further questions, I guess at the section where there's questions and answer, we will answer those questions for you.
Thank you very much for that. And also thank you to Russell, Vina, Elisa, and Mario for your presentation. Very informative, thank you. We now move to our question and answer section. And we've got a few questions coming in. They seem to be speeding up now. So I'll just go to take them in the order in which they came, if I may. The first one, and I'm not sure who's going to pick this up, but how are private cars being incorporated into the... Sorry? Oh. How are private cars being incorporated in the scheduling of tourist transportation business from the ship? Will we be able to be involved and get some of the business?
So I think if I understand the question, I mean, if we as a company, Royal Caribbean Group, have already contracted with your company in one way or another, either with our transfer business or our ShoreX business, then I feel like very likely, yes. I would probably have to understand a little bit more about the background, and please feel free to email the contact information that I provided, Megan Shaw, mshaw@rccl.com, just so we can help make sure that we understand the question and get you to the right place.
Thank you, Elisa.
I'm sorry if I could just really quickly, Mick, because I know there's been a little bit of discussion about whether or not taxis will be included. And I can tell you most certainly taxis will be included as well. We want to make sure that we include as many people in this opportunity as is possible. Now, there will be some restrictions in place because as we restart the service, it is incredibly important for us to be able to demonstrate that we can safely operate cruises. That is the key to the restart of the entire cruise industry. So I understand, you know, at the very beginning in June, when we come back, it will seem a little bit more restrictive than usual. But I think if we're very measured and patient with our restart and we do things the right way and safely, then it just opens up opportunities for us all. But long story short, both minibuses, tour operators, taxi drivers will have an opportunity to participate in this opportunity.
Okay, thank you for answering that. Second one's an interesting one, which is not directly to the questions we've been discussing today, but can Bahamians that do not have a visa but are vaccinated book and take advantage of the Bahamas cruises? I guess that means as a Bahamian with a visa, can we join your cruise?
Thank you for the question, Mick. So I can tell you, first of all, we've had a really strong response from Bahamians. We do have Bahamians that have booked the cruise already. So the cruise will begin in Nassau. It will sail to Coco Key and Freeport, and the only international destination it's going to sail to is Cozumel, Mexico. So whatever travel documents are required to enter Mexico, that is what will be required of any guest. So this cruise is open up to anyone in the world who, as long as they have the proper documentation to enter either the Bahamas or Mexico, they're welcome to sail with us. Okay,
thank you. Another question, it's quite a long one, this, but I'll abbreviate it. It's a person that operates a motor coach, and they have the protocols in place for safety, etc. But the question really is to insurance for the entities that will be transporting the passengers. If those ships are registered in the Bahamas, why do they need US insurance?
I don't think it's, and I will make sure my team corrects me if I'm incorrect, but I don't think it's the exact sourcing of the insurance. It's actually just the coverage that's important to us. So it's not necessarily that it has to be a US policy. We just have to be confident that the coverage is adequate. And so again, we can go into detail with you, the person who asked the question, to understand your insurance and if it satisfies our requirements. I think that it would need to make sure that I guess the best way to put it is it's a worldwide jurisdiction. So as to who it's from is less important than what coverage it provides. So let's break that down probably independently, but happy to take a look at it.
Okay, I'll ask the person who asked that question to contact you directly. Thanks, Elisa. Are financial statements required for the Dun & Bradstreet background check?
And sorry, I don't know, Vina, you want to take that? Okay.
Sorry, I was on mute, as always. Yes, for sure it is. Dun & Bradstreet is the entity that we use to verify suppliers as they go through the process, not just their financial background, but food safety and many other requirements that we have, that we require in order to do business. So my team can also walk the interested parties through the process of Dun & but definitely financial records will be a part of that.
Okay, thank you. Next question, they're coming in thick and fast now. Will Port Lucaya be a stop or a tour for the cruise ship? Port Lucaya Marketplace. Is it on your schedule currently, or?
You mean for the, so I couldn't hear the beginning of the question. Are you saying?
Will the Port Lucaya Marketplace be a stop or tour for cruise ship passengers? Is that somewhere you visit?
It's a candidate for how I had described kind of that enclosed marketplace. And so I think if it's not that, we want to make sure there's at least some place that is representative of what that experience is. And so it proves to be a challenge because I know there's many shops. And so as part of the requirement would be that it is, as I've described, a very enclosed experience. So we understand who's going in, who's going out, to ensure we've heard about contact tracing. We just want to make sure that we understand what the environment looks like. So it's definitely not off the table, but I know that it's an important kind of, I guess, heartbeat of the economy there.
Thank you again, Elisa. Another question. Is there a written list of products or services that RCL are looking for us to provide? Do you have a complete written list, or was what you presented today the total list?
In terms of food and beverage, yes, there is a list. We have provided the list. However, we are open to look at any additional items that you may have that is not on our list. For example, the local beers we talked about earlier.
Okay. Thank you, Vina.
A shore excursion perspective, I think I proposed some ideas, but we don't have exact gaps that we're looking to fill, but we're open to new ideas.
So open to any ideas. Okay, I think that's true for both sides of this. It looks, from what you both said, that even if it isn't on the list, you're open to ideas and proposals. Okay, thank you. Another question. Will there be an opportunity to supply 3-layered protection isolation medical flat masks manufactured in Grand Bahama?
So we do carry, I want to say, possibly over 40 different types of face coverings and masks. So I'll be happy to take a look at it. So they have my email address, and you can reach out to me directly, and I'll be able to look at the specification of the product. I think what the audience will find important, potential suppliers, is that specifications is very, very important. So we always require a specification sheet just to make sure that we're comparing product, product by product, and not comparing apples to oranges. So the spec sheet is very important. We can look at the spec sheet and determine if we currently have a use for it. If we don't, we'd also take a look to see if there's any potential use for it in the future. But PPE is welcome: gloves, face coverings, sanitizers that does not flow through a dispenser, and any PPE items that you may manufacture there. We're very open to look at that.
Thank you. Next question. Just to clarify, persons with unique or creative locally made products should reach out to Megan Shaw. Is she the contact person?
So that's a slightly separate question, I believe. I'm assuming the person's asking about being able to sell items possibly on the cruise ship. If
Well, I
that's the
assume
case,
so.
yeah, so slightly different team, but definitely we can be the one-stop shop to take in the requests and make sure they get to the right place. As a little bit more background, the way that our onboard retail experience works is that we do work with a third-party concessionaire that sources all the merchandise that we sell on the ships. And so their merchandising team, though, is very open to any suggestions that we give them to source their products, especially to represent the destinations that we go to. So definitely either to myself or to Megan, and we'll make sure it gets to the right place.
Thank you, Elisa. I understand you will be ordering non-Bahamian made supplies direct from the US, but is there any room for local wholesalers to supply the boats? For example, shipping is not very reliable, especially nowadays. If you are short product, how does my company get set up to sell to RCL for situations such as this?
So great question, and I think it is important that we do have broadliners, distributors, every port that our vessels call. So there is opportunity. It's one of the model that our procurement strategy has worked on successfully. We do need these broadliners. We rely on them for last minute add-ons, shortages, and when container miss. We all know shipping today is not like what it used to be before COVID. There's container shortages and there's delay in shipment, probably 2 or 3 months behind due to COVID. So yes, it is very important for us to have a local presence of a broadline distributor who can also operate on the weekends and find us last minute items, but also for them to look at the entire item list and bid on that list. They're really an essential part of our business and key to our success in provisioning our ships locally. So absolutely.
Great, thank you, Vina, that's good. Not quite sure I understand the next question fully, but would taxi be allowed to create our tours? So I think they're saying, would a taxi driver or a taxi company be allowed to create their own tours?
It would still just fall under any other tour. Like Russell mentioned, that we're definitely motivated to include the taxis and into just the flow.
Okay, thank you for that. How are we doing time-wise? Oh, we've got plenty of time yet. Good. Okay. Is there any? Is there to be any provision made for event planners for guests who would want to have a destination wedding?
I would say, yeah, we can explore that. We've been, so I'll put it this way. Right now, the way that we come up with a lot of our guidances for the shore excursions and our destinations is actually patterned off of what our expectations are for shipboard. Mm-hmm. And so it's just an extension. And so if you think that we're being restrictive in the ports, we're also asking the same on the ships. And so, for example, guests will most likely need to wear still face masks while they're indoors on our cruise ships, even after passing all these different tests. We still believe that we want to be conservative. And so large groups and celebrations may not be, I think, the first people that we attract. And so we're definitely not ruling out the fact that people may want to still have a smaller destination wedding. And I think I saw a question on the Q&A about what type of demographic, it most likely will not be larger groups and celebrations to start, just because some of the restrictions that we also have on board. So I just want to make sure to set the expectation of that as well.
That segues into the next question, Elisa, which is, what's the anticipated demographic for your passengers?
I referenced earlier that we will have a lot of our tried and true loyal Crown and Anchor customers. They tend to skew definitely above average in terms of income in the United States, for sure. They tend to be a little older, not too old to enjoy, many adventures on the island.
But you're never too old for that.
So, but yes, that's probably the best answer I can give right now. We can take a look and see what other details are appropriate to share to a wider audience.
Okay, thank you. What about dry teas and spices, both for ship use and souvenir ships on board? So I guess that could be asked as a broader question, is that are you provisioning just for use on board, or just for the souvenir shops, or a combination of both?
So in terms of food and beverage, we provision only for consumption.
Only for consumption. Okay, thank you. Not surprisingly, the next question, are tour operators required to have staff vaccinated? And what if they are vaccinated? Do they still have to continue COVID testing of staff?
So from our healthy return to service recommendations, we are not saying that it's a requirement for tour operators. We do have a wellness check that we have in place that we would need to work together with the operator to ensure that they're complying with that. We are exploring with our medical team, if, let's say, a tour operator has gone the extra mile and is vaccinated, does that change anything with what we're able to do and provide? But as of right now, the short answer is no, not as of yet, not a requirement, but there are obviously some other just general wellness checks. But of course, as we partner with the chamber, we could come up with something different, because I know the local government, you guys will also probably have your own expectations.
Sure. Okay, thank you. One for you now, Yvette. Is the funding that will be offered through SBDC only for food and fishery contracts, or can the businesses that may be part of an exclusive marketplace experience also apply?
And so based on the information, it would be persons who would be eligible and qualify for the procurement contracts. So any company that can qualify for the offerings, they would be able to apply. But we are going to have a detailed meeting that outlines everything. So all of the information that they would like to know about the possible funding opportunities and what categories of businesses will be able to go under this opportunity. They can stay tuned. In the next day or two, we will have an interest meeting. So in that meeting, we will assist small businesses. We will assist them with how to be able to qualify and whatever information, as long as the businesses will be eligible for a procurement contract. So they can stay tuned and we will provide that information. And particularly for small businesses that we do have in our database at the Small Business Development Center, we normally do blast emails, so they will get that information. So ask whoever is asking the question to stay tuned, or if someone has a particular question too that they wanted to ask, they feel free to contact me, and what information I don't have, I will get that information for them. And they can reach me at yvette.okono@sbdcbahamas.com.
Thank you very much, Yvette. I think I can actually answer the next question myself. How many days would the ship be coming to Grand Bahama? I think it's once a week, just one day a week. So under the present arrangement, that will be 26 times between the 12th of June and 6 months from then. So I think that's correct, Russell? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Will any Wi-Fi solutions be needed for planned outdoor group excursion events to support big group service?
Yeah, in general, yes. Actually, I have an exciting add-on, I guess, is that if this is the expectation, is that we will have these controlled experiences for guests, our crew members will also be expected to only be able to debark under those circumstances as well. It makes complete logical sense. And so that's one big thing that our crew members enjoy, is that freedom to go to a destination and find Wi-Fi to connect with their families. And actually, as part of our development of tours, we're actually looking for crew experiences that we can bring what we're calling a curated tour just for crew. And that actually sparked a very good point, is that anytime we do that, our expectation is that there should be Wi-Fi as well. So that's a great solution, and I encourage you to reach out to Megan as well, so we can start putting those things together if that's a service that you provide.
Thank you again. Where can I get a copy of the list to bid on?
So I think we did provide the list previously. Yeah. However, feel free to reach out to Michael, myself, or Mario, and we'll be happy to share the list.
Thank you, Vina.
Pleasure.
Mr. Holding, if I could jump in for just a moment. While we do distribute the list, we'll make sure to give it to anyone who reaches out to us. Just keep in mind that it's very important for you all to consider what is locally produced or manufactured, as this is probably going to have the most appeal to us. There was a question earlier about bringing in outside goods, and the likelihood is that yes, we will continue to import some products to support these vessels while they sail in the Bahamas. And your greatest opportunity to sell to the cruise lines are going to be the products that you create, manufacture, produce locally on the island.
Thank you, Mario. Would RCCL use its own logistics team for the acceptance of the goods when received or being received?
So I'm not sure I understand the question. For goods that we're importing, yes, we'll use our own logistics team in conjunction with our port agent. For items that are sourced locally, the local suppliers will be required to provide transportation for delivery to our vessel.
Okay. Thank you, Vina. Will cruise passengers be allowed to shop in the retail area in the harbour?
Our hope is that we can set up that area to be an enclosed area that we can curate. So that is our hope.
Okay. I think I know the answer to this one based on previous conversations with Russell, but I'll still ask it and ask you to comment, please. Given the control mechanisms in place, will RCL visit local recreation venues to approve before the cruise starts? So, Garden of the Groves, Port de Kaya Marketplace, will you be physically visiting these sites before?
As a pre-visit, I think as part of our just determination as to where these enclosed areas can be, potentially, but we have, I think, are working well with the local team there to understand what is the most appropriate and what we can execute correctly.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll give the Royal Caribbean people a break now, because I think this one's aimed at the Port Authority. Are there any special concessions, are there any special concessions regarding license fees for new businesses catering to either ship's provisioning program or services to its guests?
Yes, and so we introduce a particular type of business license called a business license diversity waiver. And what we want to do is we want to attract unique businesses to Grand Bahama. So if somebody comes to us and say, instead of a regular shoe store, we have the capability of creating a customized shoe in an hour. That sort of uniqueness. We're looking for unique businesses, not the same old, because we think it'll add to the experience of the guests for Royal Caribbean. If persons have unique experiences, we will in fact waive the first year's license fee.
Okay, thank you, Ian. There's still quite a lot of additional questions, and we're now almost at the end of our time allocation. So what I would say to those persons whose questions have not been answered, either direct them directly to the contacts that you've got within Royal Caribbean or Small Business Development Centre, or even the Port Authority for the likes of the last question, or you can direct them directly to the Chamber of Commerce, and we will then pass those on to the relevant people to get answers for you. But I say I'm very conscious of time, and we wouldn't have time to address all the outstanding questions. So just before we close, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who was on this call, and in particular the panelists who gave their presentations and have handled the questions very well, if I may say so. Well done, thank you. And I'd now like to hand over to Mr. Derek Newbold, just to give a few closing remarks. Derek, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mick, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. What an amazing session of information and opportunities. I'd like to thank our presenters and panelists, Minister Thompson, Minister Pintard, and other government officials, Ian Roll, the President of the Grand Bahama Port Authority and Port Group of Companies. A special thanks to Russell Benford and the other RCCL executives. I thought there were excellent presentations done by Elisa, Bina, and Mario. Thank you, Yvette O'Connell and the SPDC. For those of you requiring funding support and you need to reach out to Yvette and her team, please do so. She would have shared her contact information earlier, but we'll also be circulating the contact information. You can also visit the SPDC's website. So please reach out to Yvette to find out how you might be able to take advantage of some of the grant opportunities there. And of course, thank you to Mr. Mick Holding, our moderator, who's also a director at the local Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce. It's encouraging to see so many local business owners on this call this afternoon. The success of this initiative will be measured in large part by your participation. When we reflect on some of the opportunities shared, it's important for you to register in order to be able to take advantage of those opportunities. Elisa would have shared, or Elisa rather would have shared, on the tremendous opportunities for tour operators. And Mario and Vina touched on opportunities in the fishing and farming space, and also for other types of retail procurement. There are certainly certain compliance measures that has to be met for the farmers and fishers that are really essential for you to participate in this space, and time is of the essence. So I do encourage you to please reach out to the Ministry of Agriculture and Marine Resources to find out more about the process. You can reach out to the Freeport office at 352-5091 or 352-2144. You can also collect registration forms from the Department of Agriculture and Marine Resources at their West Mall location. Again, time is of the essence. Mrs. Pelicanos would have mentioned that there is a process involved. It could take up to a month, so please register as soon as possible with the Department of Marine Resources, of Agriculture and Marine Resources. A recording of this meeting, which includes contact information for the various RCCL executives, will be shared by both GBPA and the Chamber. So please look out for that. And you know, this project, really, when you think about it, is a massive and complex undertaking for Grand Bahama. But it presents an unprecedented opportunity for businesses across numerous industries and sectors. As a business community, we now find ourselves at a new and welcome crossroad, and our actions today will determine our levels of success for the future. The key stakeholders have come together to create and present this opportunity to you, and it is now your turn to embrace that opportunity and to do what's necessary to sufficiently benefit from it. We cannot emphasize the importance of seizing this moment and challenging yourself to meet the anticipated demands this provisioning exercise will bring. As a community, we can collectively achieve successful outcomes in terms of quantities, quality, and a variety of offerings required for this exercise. I believe Ian Roll, the president of GBPA, would have mentioned that no one business or company can do it alone. A project of this magnitude will demand robust supply networks and partnerships to execute the project successfully. Many of you participating in this provisioning program will be stretched and challenged in your abilities and capabilities to deliver products and services at global standards of excellence and quality. But I believe that we are up for the challenge because we have demonstrated time and time again here in Grand Bahama that we are a resilient community. So let me reiterate that. This is a transformational opportunity for Grand Bahama. Let's all join efforts to ensure that the experience to RCL Group and its passengers exceeds all expectations. And perhaps we may see this opportunity prolonged to the benefit of our local community. So thank you so much once again for logging in, and have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thank you very much, Derek. And I will now formally declare this workshop closed. Thank you very much.
Have a good afternoon, everybody. Take care and thank you.